what does covenant, though, have to do with writing down letters to churches, sending letters to churches and the like, which would come to form the canon of the New Testament?
Yeah, well, I think it all has to do with the Old Testament background. So you have to remember the earliest Christian writers, earliest Christian followers were all Jews, and they would have been immersed in their Old Testament context. And when you read the Old Testament, it's very clear that what you're reading are what we would call covenant documents. They are the materialization of God's promises, his covenant arrangement with his people. Sort of the terms, the conditions of the covenant effectively are what you're reading when you read the Old Testament writings. And so they would have already had a worldview, if you want to think of it that way, where covenants, contracts, if you will, always have written manifestations. You don't just make up a covenant in thin air. You have a written text that goes along with it. And this was classic for the ancient world, not just for the Old Testament Israel, but also ancient covenant treaties in the Hittite world as well, which would have been part of the Old Testament backdrop. And given that context, you just have to ask the question, what would happen if early Christians came to think that God was inaugurating a new covenant? What would they think was going to be going on with that, associated with that? Well, given the very close connection between covenants and written text, I argue in my book that there would have been an anticipation, an expectation that God would deliver a new written manifestation of his covenant terms and conditions and so on, and promises and things beyond that. And so what that does is it frames the debate differently. So rather than thinking of written documents as somehow foreign to Christianity and imposed on Christianity and something they never would have thought about, I argue that there's something more natural about it than we might have thought. And there might have even been some sense that they were looking for such deliveries of covenant documents. And if they were, they would look to God's special agents, his covenant ambassadors, what Paul himself refers to himself as a minister of the covenant, a minister of the new covenant, and that's what the apostles were, as the very people who would deliver such documents. So it just frames the debate differently and gives us a context by which we realize a canon would not have been an unnatural imposition. It would have been a fairly organic development.
Hi there, my name is Kurt Jiris. I'm an evangelical theologian, and I've come to realize that Bart Ehrman is correct.